is dying.
I planted some stuff in North Conway the other day, I'm out there with a shovel.
Concrete,
No, dust, just,
dust,
Powder.
powder.
yeah,
Wow.
horrible. Because the stuff I planted, I would never make it. I didn't tell her that. She said, did you plant those? I said, yes, I did.
All set? All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Capital Improvement Committee to order. This evening, we're gonna be meeting with the fire chief, deputy chief.
No,
to-
Captain.
Captain, I'm Scott, excuse me, Chip.
Sorry.
So we'd like to, thanks for coming in, fellas, we appreciate it. Like to get an early start on our review of the capital plan, so wanted to go over the items that are on the plan for this coming year. I'd like to get a kind of an update from you on last year, the items that were approved, the ladder truck, and then talk a little bit about 6 years out on the plan. So we're looking at 2022, we're adding to the plan this year, or 21, excuse me. So we can discuss the 10-year plan that we've talked about before. So if you wouldn't mind, can you kind of give us an update of where we are with the ladder truck?
Absolutely. The committee has selected a vendor after a lot of hard work. And to give you the Reader's Digest version of what happened here, you remember we were in at $850. We agreed to go to $750. I would shop the demo market, is what we talked about.
Right.
And we met with the selectmen, and a few of my guys were in the room. And there was a lot of talk around getting a platform, of which we really weren't in the market for, because the platforms, the entry level was in the 8s. And they were bigger trucks than what we wanted. They were dual axle versus single axle. And they were heavier than what we wanted to run in this community. So we were headed down the path of buying a straight stick ladder, not a platform, so just a ladder on a single axle. During the search process, we had a lot of vendors come in. We had a company come in late in the game by the name of Rosenbauer, and they brought a great big truck with a dual axle, and it was beautiful. Beautiful platform, and I don't even know what the price on it was, but
It was in the 8s.
well into the 8s, and we
Yeah.
said to them, we're sorry you drove out here, because our requirement from the very beginning was single axle platform. And they said,
Non-platform.
we make one now. So we are currently negotiating the first single axle platform from this manufacturer. They're a well-known international manufacturer of fire apparatus. But they've decided to build this truck to fill a niche in the market, which happens to be the truck that we're getting rid of, that we don't make anymore. So the story is, that truck is in production, it's being manufactured, it won't be ready until spring. We are working a deal to allow them to show it in fire truck shows, which will get us the discount we were after in the very beginning. So it will in fact be a truck that has been demoed, and we will receive a discount for that. So I'm reluctant to give you the price, but it's around what we agreed on, but a lot of value because we've forced some extras into the package that we wouldn't ordinarily get. So.
But it won't, excuse me, it won't be any more than this number that.
No, and the number that I have, I'm sitting around the $750 number right now, which I think we all thought would be hard to do. You asked me if I was gonna be okay, and I said we would make it happen.
Okay.
That's before we talk about the purchasing programs that they offer, and there's a couple. Houston Galveston has a nice purchase plan, and Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts has a good plan. They both get you discounts. So I don't know if it's 1%, 1.5%, don't know the exact numbers. The purchasing agent for Rosenbauer is working on that. So it's $750 or less. Okay? I just don't know how much less. So the other pleasant news to go with that story, as we talked about, most of the trucks in the market were too big for our station. And we appropriated some money to not only put in new doors, because we had the outdated, non-insulated door factor going on over there, but we also had an issue of we had to raise the opening into it. And that was going to cost us 11 to do the masonry work and 14 to replace the doors. Based on the specifications we have with this truck that we've selected, we do not have to change the door openings. So we can save $11,000 against that 25 that we had appropriated last year.
I thought that was part of our discussion, though, was that whatever truck you got had to fit in the station, right?
It did, and it would have, inside of that number. So we had appropriated the number.
But hang on a minute,
We had appropriated the money for the
why
change.
aren't you saving 25?
We need the doors. The doors needed to be changed.
Oh, I see.
Anyhow, and that's a.
I
We-
see.
I wanted to ask you about that as well,
Yeah.
because that was the other item.
Okay, so you have changed the doors?
No, we were waiting on changing the doors to see if we had to change two of the openings.
Oh.
We needed to do the masonry and then
I
change
get it.
the doors.
I
So
get
we've kind of been, the truck was really driving everything we're doing here.
Right, that makes sense.
But we're on a good track of, I think doing what
So
we
you-
said we would do from the very beginning is find the best value for the community
And I
against
know
what
your
we had been appropriated.
Committee worked a lot on that, too, so.
Yeah, it's been a
So
year.
everybody's happy with it, as far as from the department?
I would say that for everyone from the committee is happy with it. I mean, that's what we originally set out to do. We gave ourselves a criteria of safety, drivability, and maneuverability. And this truck definitely fits all three of those criteria. So, we're pleased with it. And like the chief said, he's just finishing off the negotiations at this point to see what the final number is, but it will be $750 or less.
I did have a conversation with the finance director, and she told me that you were applying for a grant.
We had applied for a grant
Yeah.
before.
So
We,
what's the status on that, do we know?
We didn't get it.
Didn't get it for sure?
For sure, because I talked to the director at FEMA a lot. And we made it deep into the final round, where you get into actually peer review. Somebody sits down and reads them all. It's all numerical scoring until you get deep, and then it's people sit around and read your applications and compare, and they're from other parts of the country. What I got out of him is he can't understand why we didn't get it, because we were that far along. And communities like us, replacing trucks like ours, did receive grants. There was no appeal process, unfortunately. It's a very shallow pool with a lot of people fishing in it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But it doesn't, hey, it doesn't dampen our spirits. We're gonna continue to write grants. We get better at it. If you don't ask, you never get it. So we're in the habit of asking.
Right.
So we're 1 out of 3. There's still pretty good odds.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
So, I think we also had 25,000 that passed last year to replace the doors, right?
Right, well,
So-
right,
That's
You're just
still
talking
pending?
right. So
Yeah,
that's
still
now
pending.
No, 14.
14.
14.
13.9 was a quote I had, but I gotta put it out and get 3 quotes to make sure
Right,
we get the best deal, but it's in there.
good.
This new truck, what kind of warranty does it come with? Any?
New truck warranty.
Yeah,
I'm not
um,
sure. It typically,
'Cause
well, it depends.
Especially in a new, first year manufacture of anything, I always, just makes me nervous.
It's
point.
yeah, it's well, the reason that this truck, I'll give you a little, history on it. It's gonna be exactly like their bigger trucks, but what the manufacturer of the axles came out with is a more heavy-duty axle. They have a 33,000-pound axle, and it couldn't carry the trucks, but they just came out with a 35,000-pound axle. So that's basically what made this truck possible. So the truck itself, all the controls, all the booms, all the jacks, all the, the chassis itself is tried and true. They just shrunk it down a little bit, and put it on a new axle. And people have been manufacturing on that axle, bigger trucks on that axle already, and we haven't heard any problems with it.
But doesn't come with any standard, 30 seconds, 30 feet?
Usually
Whichever
it's
comes first,
full, I believe it's 1 year, full warranty, and I think then the body has an extended warranty on it. I believe that's 10 years, and I believe the aerial is 10 years on the warranty. Don't quote me on, that's typically in the industry what we what we see.
They make their own engines and powertrains, or
No,
do
no,
they?
no, some of
Cummins.
that drivetrain stuff would be a longer warranty than 1
Yeah.
year.
Right, yeah, the Cummins, makes the diesel typically, Allison makes the transmissions. And they basically make the frame to bolt everything to, but they'll take pieces and parts from other reputable manufacturers and put the truck together.
So the thing that's, the main thing that's changed is the redesign is the single axle. So,
It's that rear axle, yep.
So we just gotta wait and see?
Yeah, I know, the good news for us is the demo market, you buy something that's already out driving around. This thing is just been moved from frame to another factory, we're gonna put the ladder on it. So we're in the early stages of it being built, we are having a chance to customize it. So we're gonna get a customized ladder at demo pricing. So,
Oh, that's a break, eh?
yeah, it was a great, I guess it's what you get from talking to a lot of people, and we invited a lot of people up, and they kept coming, and we found the right opportunity.
And there's one other manufacturer that makes a single axle, 70 foot, not a 75 foot, tower ladder. But they were in the 825 range, so we really scratched them right off the list after town meeting, saying, we're not gonna get there, and we don't think they're gonna be able to come down $75,000. And then this other manufacturer who we had contacted last fall, but we were playing phone tag and we never got through until after, and I think they changed, sales reps in the area. And then we didn't get, they didn't get back in touch with us until June of this year. So when they did finally come up and show us the truck, and then had the revelation that, lo and behold, yeah, we do make that truck that you're really looking for. And that's how this whole thing is in the chute that we're going down now, pursuing now.
Good, well,
Just in time then, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
What's,
worked out.
maybe I missed it, what's your, estimated, delivery date?
May.
How does this say May?
May 2016?
So, we're still hobbling along on the old ladder truck until May, right?
We have a plan.
Yeah.
You couldn't bring it over to Haverhill and kinda walk away and
They
if
would've-
the wall
They
fell?
would have loved to have had it at the big fire,
Yeah.
but we don't staff 2 trucks in the Haverhill, we just send a plumber. They could've used anything, quite honestly.
You're not kidding.
But they're grateful to have the support we sent. We sent a truck over there for 13 hours, so.
Okay, well, good. Thanks for the update on that. This is I'm sorry, I only have one copy for you. I didn't expect 2 of you, but
No,
this
it's all right.
is,
It's not a big deal.
We know how to
that's
share.
that's the last version of the capital plan.
Yep.
And then behind that is the last version of the 10-year,
I have.
the 10-year plan that we had. So is that what you have with you there, anyway?
I didn't have what you're gonna show me on the second page, which is the 10.
Yeah, as it stands right now.
Yep.
So, let's take a look at the capital plan for a minute, FY 2017, which is where we'll be coming up. So we have, air packs coming up this year and the pumper engine. That was the plan.
Yep.
So, has anything changed since
Yes.
we,
Yes.
please elaborate if you would?
Oh, yes.
What has changed, chief?
A couple of things.
Doesn't the television camera change people?
It hasn't changed me a whole lot.
You're still
Probably
photogenic.
should.
You're still photogenic.
Thank you, John. That's what I was looking for you to say. We've had a little bit of trouble with our radio system. And if you remember, a year ago, we took the communications console off my capital plan because the police department was putting in a new
Right.
communications console, so it seemed to be redundant, so we made that go away. In some of the trouble we've had as of late, we decided to bring in a vendor to do a survey of our entire system end-to-end to see what we had. The good news is, it works. The bad news is, it's not reliable. The other bad news is it's not NFPA compliant. So it's not a system designed for public safety. It's really designed for some other use. So we asked them to do two things. Give us a quote to fix what we have today and get some life out of it. And I'll tell you what that means. The early report was, the system is not grounded. The system has no surge protection. So we were wide open to, right, something terrible happened.
Lightning.
Yeah, lightning and so forth. We had some other issues. They looked at the tower. They said we have frayed cables. We've got some other things that just are adding to our poor transmission. On top of that, they indicated that we were really with a variety of ways to transmit, and then all of the portables on top of that. What's not been done is we've not been calibrated across the entire system. The whole system hasn't been tuned up by one vendor at what time, from what we can tell. We don't know when that was last done. So their recommendation was to do some preventative maintenance, which hasn't been done, which would give us a better quality of communication. Their recommendation on that was, don't wait. That's why I have to wait, because I don't have the money to do that.
How much money?
So I have, I'm waiting for a formal quote. They're talking $11,000 to $12,000 to protect what we have and tune it up, basically. The second part of that is, the system in itself, the portable radios we have and the truck radios we have are old by communication standards. Some of them, I think, are 15 years old.
Yep.
So they're old. We have a lot of failure. I package them regularly and send them off to a factory to have them fixed. I send out 6, I get 3 back. 3 that can be fixed, 3 that can't be fixed. They're $500 a pop. We've been buying and replacing, but they're not the right radio. They're not compliant with the current standard. So we're chasing, time on this one.
Excuse me, can I interject?
Go ahead.
These 3 that come back, can they integrate with the existing system or not?
3, yes. Oh, yes, yes. So
Okay.
we've able to keep the system functioning.
But you're,
They're old. We have a lot of failures. I was talking to the Merrimack Police Chief the other day. They just went through an upgrade in their communication system to the state-of-the-art. He said, Chief, problem is, it's a 4-watt radio. 5 years in, it's a 3-watt radio. They lose power. They wear out. You can't keep them as strong as you need them to be. I'm not a radio guy. I didn't know that. He's apparently done his homework.
so, hang
So they're
on.
old, 15 years old.
All right, let's
most of
assume you're using these. If they tone up the system, will that help at all?
It will help, but
But
it won't
it's-
make them compliant.
No, I understand that,
and it
but will
won't
they be able to
increase the power.
communicate?
A
You-
little
Whether
bit.
they're compliant, but will they be able to communicate effectively?
I don't know that. It's not
Okay.
my area.
So,
Of
until they
expertise.
tune it up, you won't know.
Correct.
Hmm.
But what I do know is the radios we have are old and need to be replaced. I was unaware of this. There is no, from what I could tell in all the documentation left to me by the previous administration, there was no real communications plan, other than there was some things in,
I know we had replaced radios early on.
some portables. And we
Yeah.
did some repeater work, and that's reflected in here, and those are still good for a while. The repeaters aren't the problem. It's 45 grand. You get another 10 years out of those easily, because they are digital, and that's what we'd be going to versus analog. I don't know a lot about it. I asked the guy to give me a couple of quotes. Have those with me. There's the love to have it quote, and then there's the what makes the most sense for the town of Groveland, and that's the one I brought with me.
Getting
So-
back to this maintenance
Yep.
for 11, 12 grand, how long does he anticipate you can extend the life for this dying unit?
I don't think he's willing to do that. The problem is, we're open to, we're vulnerable for a lightning strike. or,
Catastrophic failure.
Catastrophic failure. We're just open to that. With no safeguards in place to prevent against that.
So this is basically just to kind of secure what we have, put the grounding in, et cetera.
And that protects the part of the system that is good,
That's
which are the
working.
repeaters, which are the transmitters. What we need to replace somewhere soon are the actual radios in the trucks, and more importantly, the radios that the men carry
So how many radios and how much money are we looking at there?
We're talking, all of that, 105.
Plus the 11,
Right.
so it's
And-
115.
And I would, so this is where I say to you, I don't think we need to, run and do this. But I would run and do this before I would run and do something else that's on my plan. So, as usual, I'm gonna give us some opportunities to look at and say, if this was my highest priority,
Yeah, that's my next,
what gives?
right.
And
So-
I would tell you, against what I have on the plan today, the SCBA's at 130 that we hit in for this year. We have them serviced, we have them tested, they are certified, they have life left in them. So what I will do with those, because it's a life safety issue with FEMA, it's easier grant money to get. I would like to apply for that grant a number of times before I ask for the town to spend the money. These other things, we've taken one swing and gotten close. I'd like to take, a good, strong 2 or 3 swings at writing for SCBA's in hopes of getting all of it, or at least not a good share of it.
So if it takes a couple of tries to get it, I mean, how long do you think these will,
I push that out into, 19 easily.
it's just 2 years, right?
And remember, one of the things that we talked about, because it's gonna bump into the other stuff too, as I reduce the size of the fleet, I reduce the number of packs and tanks I need. And that was part of what we were trying to do.
Right. So the 130 goes to 130 at 2019. Of course, there'll be some inflation there, but what?
Well, offset by the fact I maybe don't need,
As many air
Happy
packs.
Town, how many we carrying? 35?
30, 32, 33.
I need less, I have less riding positions, so I'm 5 or 6 under that. That's another,
Saving.
15,
Yeah.
easy.
Less riding positions as a result of the ladder truck, or
Yes.
you anticipating?
Pumps. Remember the
Pumps, too.
discussion of one's
Yeah.
too big, one's too old?
Right.
I wish I never said it, but I like the way it sounds. Added up, that's 12 riding positions, so I saved 6 by eliminating that truck. I will have an added 2 because of the new truck, the ladder, has 2 more positions than what we currently have.
No, there's 3. Well, there's 3 SCBA's, we only have 3 on there now, every riding position now has to
Okay,
have.
correct,
So,
correct.
but those, we have them on the squad now. Probably just take them off the squad and put them on the ladder truck, so.
Okay, going back to the radios, so initially we were talking about integrating with the police and the console that they had. Well, how does that
We
all
are
work out?
integrated at the
What's-
console, but we run very different systems. So one dispatcher sitting at one console operating 2 different systems. So
Can
is
that
that
be
the way-
corrected? Can
is
that
that-
be?
That's okay, that's not unusual.
It isn't.
Not
Would that be the
unusual.
case after you get a new system?
It will continue to be the same way. Long range, and long range, there's a national, sorry, don't leave me.
Yeah.
Long range, there's a national broadband network that's being worked on. And this is a result of, Homeland Security and 9/11, and it's, Massachusetts is aggressively pursuing it. It will be a one radio system for the entire country. But it's gonna take a while to build that. It'll be in Metro Boston first, it'll be in the 128 belt second, and 495 soon after that. That'll replace all of these other things, whether it's single dispatch, or regional dispatch, or this frequency or that frequency. There'll be one system for everybody at some point. I can't tell you, is that 10 years out?
I got you.
Technology, gonna continue to change,
Right.
everything.
So the other item is the pumper engine. Are we,
Yeah.
are we still on track for that, or is there any,
I still believe that's the right number, and I still believe that's the right plan.
And are we gonna sell the other one or not?
that's,
Yes.
that's my next question.
Excuse me, well, we will sell them.
Taxpayers just laid out $750,000 for the ladder truck. We knew this was gonna be,
Oh, yeah.
subsequent purchases like this were gonna be a hard hard sell. I mean, we have to, there really has to be a justification for, you fellas have to be ready to justify this kind of purchase at town meeting or before, obviously.
Oh, sure.
And I know we've gone through the argument and of the justification for buying it, but I think it's still gonna be a hard sell see, a hard sell, it's probably not the right, it needs to be thoroughly explained to people so they're willing to spend the money.
Mhm.
So, you confident in that?
I am. Well, the other option is to keep a truck that's close to 30 years old and keep a truck that is no longer the right truck for us, just
Right.
have two tankers. Have two tankers in a town where 95% of the community is serviced by a water system. And our ISO rating is good, and it's based on that. It's not based on the fact that we've got 3 pumps and 2 tankers. We're over.
Too much water.
Supplied.
Yes.
We've got too much water.
We have more than we need, and there's a lot of evidence of that. So to continue to, there is the argument, well, we own them, why don't we keep them? Okay, everybody owns the cars in their driveway today. How long do you keep them for? When do you decide that you're tired of feeding it and move on? There's all additive cost to keeping that apparatus.
Right.
And in this business, and you can argue there's not a lot of maintenance, but the next time you have the catastrophic failure of, something major and you get rid of the truck, well, that's that. But in the interim, I think you take considerable risk with the safety of the men to operate outdated, non-compliant apparatus. Not a risk, I like to take, and I don't think anybody in this town should take that risk with men that are largely volunteers and are saving this town a boatload of money. People need to do their homework and go out and find what fire departments really cost as compared to what we spend. We are efficient in everything we do.
So when you add in the equipment, the support equipment that you're not gonna need for the extra engine, right? That figures into the cost of the savings, right? You don't need how many positions you
Well,
say
I
you
think,
get?
we're gonna eliminate, if you do the 5 riding positions, right? We'll eliminate 5. See, the thing is, you've said, well, so are you gonna reduce your annual expenses, operating expenses? No, because I have other things that
You can spend money on.
it's distracting. I have other things that come up, and, you need to go and do that. So I can't tell you, gee, I can save 4,000 if I'm not, doing preventive maintenance on this truck, and I can give that back, it's probably not practical. We're running, there's the other problem that you asked me about last year. We spent $100,000 on turnout gear. You said, could we never do this again? We agreed, that's a bad plan, every 10 years to show up with my hand out. So we were gonna try to phase in replacement.
Right,
Phase in second sets for active people.
right.
We need to start to look at that. So
Well, we've had that,
somewhere, if I start to free up some operating money, I get at my ability to buy sets of turnout gear.
right.
It's expensive, it's
We had that-
$2,500 a set.
We had that conversation with the previous chief, and his argument was that it couldn't be replaced on rotation because some guys end up with older turnout gear, and some guys get new, and who do you give the new ones to? And it was kind of a quandary for him, so.
I don't feel the same way.
Good.
Good,
That's
'cause
the way
it certainly
we're
made more
delighted.
sense to rotate them.
Yes.
From our
I think
perspective.
there are ways, and we have some software that would help us manage our inventory.
I do think you need a fullback position in case the 425 doesn't make it.
Who was that, Johnny? Speak up a little.
I
What'd you
just said.
You mean like a lower number?
No, I
'Cause
mean.
that's what happened to me with the other thing.
No, I'm just saying that if in fact the town doesn't bite the bullet on the 425, you need to have a position where you can live with not getting your 425
It's
unit.
not what I can live with, it's what they can live with. My job is to tell the people what they need.
I-
Then the people need to decide if they believe they need that or not. And I know we've had this discussion, so all I can do is tee it up and say, here it is, and this is fact. And there's a lot of emotion that go into these things, but these are the facts associated with it. We model ourselves around other departments, and we look at who's getting it done and who's got a good approach. And I think, we have too much, and we don't need it.
I know this is a question for another committee, and I'll probably have that question later, but,
Okay.
you talked about some of these changes you're gonna make are gonna, reduce your expenses, certain line items. And then they're gonna come back in other line items. I kinda thought that the idea behind any cost reduction was to eliminate it permanently, not to just switch it with another. You know, it's like, being addicted to coffee, quitting coffee, and then getting addicted to cigarettes. You've just replaced one with the other, so you really haven't realized any significant or long-lasting cost reductions. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I know exactly what you mean. So in this business, where we operate so close to the bone already, if I don't find some cost savings, then I need to start to increase my budget to realistic numbers and start getting this thing up another 20, 30, 40 every year. Because we just can't continue to operate with so little in an environment where there's so much risk and so many standards and so many requirements. It's not realistic.
Well, what do you mean by so little?
We scrimp on everything we do. We don't, you know, we stretch the dollar in every possible way we can.
And-
Again, I'll go back to, you need to look at the budget for this community as compared to other like communities, and we are way under. Way under, and I've committed to this group and the FinCom and the selectmen that this call, this call model that we have can continue here. But you can't cheap out on operational costs and equipment expenses. You can't cut corners there and expect these people to come in and work with, old equipment.
You're right, you're right, but I guess getting back to my point, we're not going to be working with old equipment shortly in your vision. We're gonna be working with new and updated equipment that's going to produce cost savings down the road. I mean, I think that's what we had said last year and what your goal was. So, if we don't realize lasting and permanent cost savings, we haven't realized any cost savings. If we're just shifting the carrot from one pocket to the other, then what's the benefit of the upgrade in technology? I thought the upgrade in technology was to reduce line item expenses in other places, because now your PM costs are down, you said you need less riders in a truck, so your manpower is down.
No,
So those
well,
are-
manpower would never be down, because we don't know who we're gonna get.
You have less trucks.
Right,
You're going to end up with less trucks.
right, but we're still gonna have the same amount of people.
They show up in their cars? I mean, I'm
Well,
not
there's
being
a-
facetious, I'm
No, but
just,
there's other riding positions on other non-pumping apparatus that they would respond, and they do come in their cars. If we need manpower at the scene, they do come. And we pay people to respond. When they respond to the fire station, they still get paid. So there's no reduction in manpower, because we still need that pool of people, because we don't know who's gonna be around.
I agree, but the plan at the end of the day is you're going to take one piece of apparatus out of the equation.
Mhm.
Stop me when I go wrong, because I may be speaking out of school. You're gonna take one piece of apparatus out of the equation, which means, and replace it with a new piece of apparatus. Actually, you're gonna take two pieces of old apparatus out of the equation, where you had three, and replace them with two. Upgrading the technology and the capabilities in both.
Yep.
Can you staff two vehicles at the same as you staff three?
I never staffed three.
You never staffed three. You had equipment for three.
Correct. Now,
You had maintenance for three.
Correct.
You had,
So let me.
let me go down the road. So now you have one less piece of expensive equipment to maintain, to operate, yada, yada, yada. And you've replaced two others with state-of-the-art equipment, so to speak. Where are my cost savings? When somebody comes and they wanna buy a new machine, and they wanna spend $1 million, I'm all for it. Where's my return on my investment?
But
Let the chief answer. Did you wanna say something?
Well, the question, it was, and forgive me, was kind of a run-on question where it's hard to give you one answer.
Jump in
So when
anyway.
you've got two pens and you go to one pen, or two trucks and you go to one truck, okay, so the maintenance on the truck, I just saved $1,100 a year. That's not a lot of money. Now, on the 20-year-old truck, one of them, engine two, which is a 2000,
2,000.
will
That's
need
the one.
tires next. So those tires on that truck is a considerable expense, okay? I can't, I mean, I could go through every single piece of equipment on both trucks and start to give you a plus and an add, but in this business, you know, I just bought a new electronic fan that's battery operated, okay? Cost me $3,500 for one fan. I should have another one. I don't have the money for that, so I wait and wait and wait until I find a way to buy it. That fan can be lugged to the third floor by one man, where the fans we use today need to be plugged in, and I need two people, and a third guy with the bar to put in the window to drag a piece of equipment up. So, just that one example, if I can buy a piece of equipment that a one person can operate versus a piece of equipment I need three people to operate, I'm in a far better position, because I don't have 15 people during a day when I come to your house because somebody burnt something on the stove. So, you know, that technology is an offset against manpower. It doesn't mean I need less people. So everything that you look at, this, gee, I save 800, I go spend 1,000, I save a few $100 here, I go spend a few hundred. It isn't, I can't tell you if I go from 3 pumps to 2 pumps that I'm gonna save, you know, $3,700 a year, and I'm in a position to give that back. Because I need thermal imaging cameras, you know, we just got some new AEDs, but I worked with Trinity and they would donate it to us, you probably saw the press release. That's a lot of money you didn't have to spend. We continue to work creatively to get stuff that we need.
You've got the turnout gear too, as well, which
Yeah.
is a constant
Right.
piece.
So there's just, you know, to answer your question, Bill, if I can save, you know, $4,000 a year, I'd start buying $4,000 a year worth of turnout gear. But at some point, I gotta stop throwing good money after bad, because the carrot from pocket to pocket, I ain't get, I never heard that one.
That's
But I
okay.
don't spend a lot of time on a farm. The point is, that's throwing good money after bad, 20-year-old trucks, 30-year-old trucks. We shouldn't be doing it, we don't need to doing it, because we're supporting a bad habit. Whether it's coffee or cigarettes, it's a bad habit. We don't need to be there. We need to be spending it on the right stuff and staying current with everything, with the people, with the training, with the equipment. That's the plan. I told you, smaller is, you know, smaller and faster. Less is more. I'm about less, which I think gives us more. It's a better value, much better value proposition at the end of the day. I know everybody wants me to give them money back. I already gave them $1 million back on a 10-year plan. I can't dig much deeper.
So when you said the maintenance on the truck was 1,100, it
On
was
average,
11,000 or 1,100?
1,100.
1,100,
Each
1,100?
Each truck, the guy comes in annually, does his stuff, $1,100 on average. Oh, you need 3 banks of batteries. This guy needs tires. This guy needs a timing belt. I mean, that stuff goes up. The older the truck, the more of that stuff you need. You know that. So these trucks get old, you get to a point where you say, time to cut bait. Not gonna invest it. That's what people do. I don't wanna run it, and why am I maintaining them? Run them when I don't need it. That's the bigger issue. Any given day, out of that station, where those 2 trucks are. 1 minute it's this truck, 1 minute it's this truck. One truck does all the job those both trucks do, and we've simplified things and all the stuff that's on it, and that's what we're trying to do.
Good.
It's a
That's
good
good.
plan.
I'd like to move on, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we can let FinCom can wrestle me down on this, we do this
this
here.
is important for you because this is capital, this is big money.
I understand.
And what I'm trying to do is get you to understand the end game. If people are gonna invest this kind of money, they're gonna wanna see some kind of return, some kind of savings for the expenditure of, you know, almost a couple of $1 million, at least $1.5 million. I think that's only right, and when you get before town meeting, somebody's gonna ask that question.
But what's the thing is, what is the, cut me off if you don't want me to.
No, what's the alternative? We buy a
What's the-
police car every year, say, no, I'm gonna
No,
stop
but
buying
the thing
police
is,
cars.
the alternative is, you don't understand we cannot go out and hire people for our job. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You have to train them. If we want a firefighter, we can't go out and post a job for a firefighter. We have to bring someone in, and we have to train them in-house. That's just the nature of our business. So this investment in equipment is an investment in the fire department, and that's their return on investment. Us spending the money wiser and better value for the town keeps the morale up, it keeps the firefighters in good equipment, it lets them do their jobs, which makes them happy to do their jobs. And that's how we retain. One of the biggest problems we have in the fire service, and the call volunteer fire service in the country, is recruiting and retaining call firefighters. We just hired 7. 31 years in the fire service. I don't think I've ever seen 7 firefighters come on a fire department at one time. It's a wonderful thing. That's where the value is, and that's where the town has to understand the value is. They don't pay for manpower. They don't pay at $70,000 a year for the firefighters, $80,000 a year for the firefighters. That doesn't buy you one in a career setting.
May I make a
So
suggestion?
that's where they have to understand.
Mr. John.
It's just that, this discussion is fine. It's just a matter of, are there some communities, fairly well-heeled, obviously, communities that have professional firefighters with small communities like ourselves?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And they pay a certain amount towards that, high quantities of money, all right? Large amounts of money?
Absolutely.
How many towns in the area are like that? A few, or just
Well, how many are like what? Have
have,
full-time firefighters?
yeah.
All, except Groveland and West Newbury
And Rockport.
and Rockport. Rockport's 3,500 people, West Newbury's 3,700 people, and we're 6,500. We're the only ones without full-time folks.
All right,
in the
now,
county.
I would suggest to you, and this, pardon me digressing
Yeah,
here, but I would suggest that when you do present this argument, which is a very valid argument, that you point out what other communities are paying for full-time firemen. You need to tell the town of Groveland, this is the situation. I mean, does Georgetown have a full-time crew?
Yes.
And how much do they pay? How much money do they shell out every year? Do you know?
I don't know exactly,
Okay,
but
but,
I can certainly.
but I think what
I mean,
what
I
I'm
read-
trying to say to you is, that piece of information needs to be sold to the town. When you're making these arguments, you need to make that case. It's very valid.
I don't disagree. However, I write an annual report. How many people read it? This information's on my website. How many people view it? I can stand up at town meeting and talk till I'm blue in the face, but there's 200 people there. So, and then we'll go out on a call later tonight, and the person will say to us, "Why aren't you guys there anyhow?" The majority of this community believes we're in that fire station on a day-to-day
Right,
basis.
I think that's John's point, is that they need
I don't know how else
to
to
be
do it, other than
educated.
renting a biplane and driving around over to town and saying, "You have a call fire department. How can you live here and not know you have a call fire department?" Really?
Well, it would certainly be
I know,
something.
and we are really trying, in my next, actually, our website is getting a tune-up, and we'll go to Facebook. We'll have the alternative Facebook site in town, and we'll go to Twitter, and we'll start to push stuff out, but people need to understand the value that they get out of what they spend for this fire department, as compared not only to Essex County, we're the lowest in Essex County, by the way. And you don't get anywhere as near us till you get out to Western Mass and start to look at small towns.
All I could, just this last
Go ahead,
comment, and
one
then
more
I'm gonna
point. Now,
shut up.
I wanna move on.
Yes, I understand.
Mhm.
It's important that you put this information, that we have a volunteer fire department, one of very few in the eastern part of Massachusetts. And we are therefore saving the town this amount of money every year. And this needs to be put on the town crier or some other venue,
Some alternative.
some alternative
social media
venue,
site.
whatever,
Right.
so that the town crier is quite popular, I understand, in town.
I wouldn't know.
So it's on Facebook, so you need to use that. So get educated in regards to the,
I'm educated in social media, and knew about
oh,
Facebook
okay,
before
okay. Very
probably
good.
most of you.
Well, town crier,
However,
however,
town crier is not the place
okay.
for me to go.
Okay.
I will have my own Facebook presence that I will be in control of.
I think John's point is valid.
That's what his point is. It's communication, I get the point.
Excuse me, Chief.
Yes.
I think his, I
Okay,
think,
understood.
I think his point is valid. I think it is something that needs to be explained at town meeting, because
Agreed.
that's where the vote takes place, but, you know,
It needs to be explained before town meeting.
I understand that, but I think it should be clarified there,
And
because.
quite honestly, I think more residents watch this. Certainly the selectmen's meeting is probably highly rated,
Best show on TV?
highly rated. And others, I mean, people get value out of having the chance to see it. You know, you can read it on Facebook, it's not the same as, you know, us sitting around chatting it up.
Right.
Anyway, I've said my piece.
Did you have anything to add, Kurt?
John, always,
Did you have anything to add?
No, no.
So, as it stands in 2017, we're still looking at, just so I can summarize here, you're proposing that we move the air packs out a couple of years, and you're gonna put something on the plan for radios. Is that correct?
and I need you to guide me. Do we drop it in on top of this year, or do you push it out to 18?
Well, I think
Like I said, I mean, I've got some room,
Well, look,
it would depend on how long you feel comfortable with, you know, using what you've got. I mean,
here's
I know
here's the thing about firefighting, and it plays very nicely into the communication. It's a risky business, it doesn't have to be dangerous. So it's inherent with risk, we understand that. But when you know, take a shortcut or don't do something that you really should do, it can become dangerous. And I don't wanna ever put any of these firefighters in a dangerous position. I mean, one failure of a radio at the wrong times, we all know what it means.
may I suggest that we change the air pack thing and move it out till 2019, and in its place, put 115,000 for the radios for this coming year, 2017. Does that make
well,
sense?
that's what I was kind of getting at, except do we have a number for radios? As opposed, this would be as opposed to spending the 11,000 to,
Well, the 11,000,
You're gonna spend no matter what.
yeah,
Spend either way.
that's grounding and surge protection and
alright,
some
so
other
this is on
stuff.
top of that. Yeah.
Might there be, if you added the two together, you know, a $3,000 or $4,000 opportunity? Yeah, but as you know, I leave here with one number and hopefully come back with a different, less. It's the goal,
So do you have a number at this point?
105. Oh,
105?
I'm sorry.
115.
I'm holding all the cards. Information is power.
Uh-huh.
You know that.
Not if you don't use it.
Or know how to use it, right? So that's this is a quote, it's, as you can tell, fairly detailed.
Okay. So if we were to put this on 2018,
No, 2017.
no, I'm proposing something different.
Oh, sorry.
Since we have the pumper engine in 2017, which is 425,000, I'm just trying to spread it out a little bit, you know, cost-wise.
Well, can I ask?
Yep.
Because I assumed if I came in and said, here's the parts I have, and they can be slid around, that you have other things that you need to manage as well. And if I have parts in play, maybe other people have parts in play, I don't know. And you need to slide this or that, the other thing, because you try to have a balance year over year over year. I don't do your job, so I'm just,
Yeah, but there's not a lot of, I mean, there's fire department, highway department, I mean, there's not a lot of other departments we could
I
slide
didn't know
around.
if there was more than just this. Because I don't see any,
Let me see what you got there.
I'm not sure balance is the overall goal of this committee.
No.
More than foresight,
okay.
you know.
Yeah, that's it.
Understanding what's coming down
Plan.
the road.
Trying to
We're trying to
understand
manage, see, I'm
long-term
sure you understand by,
financial
at this point, our job is, we don't see our job as trying to be a hindrance or, to keep departments from spending money.
plans. If so.
It's, yeah, well,
That's the
That's the
finance
balance.
board,
But
that's the finance
right.
board.
but our point is to see that the departments have what they need to function, but to help plan. So it's not all, not the way it was done years ago, where everything, well, I need this right now, and, it needs to go to town meeting, and we need $500,000, so, we're trying to put a plan in place so that the costs are spread out for the town, so the taxpayer's not getting whacked, all at once for these things.
Mhm.
So, it's not so much, it's a balance between spreading the costs out and also addressing the needs that are, that are present. So if something is a safety issue, like we've done in the past, we give it a higher priority, obviously. But
Well, it
that's the balance, is we're trying to spread it out as much as possible without creating a hazardous situation or giving each other departments as well, the
But
equipment that they need.
he's saying, Jeff, that it is a hazardous situation if we
I
delay
understand.
more than a year
That's
on
why I
the
s-
radios.
Right, that's what I said.
So therefore, 2017 makes sense for the radios.
So, but we'd be putting 105,000 down for the radio and 425,000 for.
Yes, that is
Pump.
correct, yes.
And moving the 130 out.
Yes, to
to
2019.
So what I was proposing is moving the 105 to 2018, because that's the same year you're gonna be replacing the Squad 1.
I think you're actually talking 117, because the 105 does not include the 11 to 12 grand for
Correct.
upgrades.
Right.
So that needs to be included, so that number realistically needs to be
Right,
107.
and I'm sorry,
I thought we had said the upgrade was 10, and that's why I said 115.
Right, no, you're
I
correct.
thought you said 11 to 12. But you-
so the request for, because Jeff asked me to do a request for future, it is on there, you're correct.
So it's 12.
So Bill is
Not
right.
10, it's
I
12.
put 12 and 105, so.
It's 117 then.
17.5, 118, rounded up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the question now is it now or is it
Right,
next year?
right. So I was proposing next year.
What do you think, Bill?
Well, before I propose that, I'd like to ask some other questions I think need to be answered.
Go ahead.
This was your capital presentation plan you gave us last year. On the revised 5 to 10-year plan, is the third item to eliminate the console request of 100,000, is that what we're bringing back this year? Is that the same thing we're talking about?
That's the
That's-
console that the police are, and it's on your plan right here. Under
Right.
police, it says replacement of communications console. They have it, I didn't need it.
They
One
pack-
console, this was the one console, two frequency discussion we had.
So this is not the same, we're not
No,
talking the
that's the
same
police one.
animals?
No?
Okay.
And they've already got their money, and they've already, I assume, installed it by
Right.
now.
Yeah, they were working on it.
So, this wasn't even on your radar last year?
Didn't know what I didn't know.
All right. I guess now, are you in a better position to know what you didn't know?
Every day, Bill.
Are there
Every
a-
day.
What
I
I'm
don't
getting
know.
at is, are we gonna, are there gonna be any other surprises, or do we know, is the roof, the heating systems, the building, the ground, whatever could be considered capital structure, or a capital
So, not to be, I'm not in
expenditure?
charge of the building, so I couldn't answer any building questions. I have my arms around our apparatus. I have my arms around our most critical equipment. I think we all had a false sense of security around the communication system. And, there was not a place for me to go to say, when is this too old, or when does it expire? There wasn't a place to go and do that. It was in my orientation kit, it wasn't there, okay?
Yeah, I'm not
I-
against spending money
No,
or
and I'm
giving
not
you guys what you
suggesting you are
need.
against it, but is there another surprise?
Is there a
Well,
way?
if there was, then it wouldn't be a surprise, I would know about it now, so I don't quite honestly know how to answer the question.
And
Is
we
there a
are-
way to
Unfair
be-
question.
I guess, another way to ask the question, is there a way to be more proactive in
And
your
I-
due
and I am.
diligence with your equipment, with your needs?
It takes time and
Yeah.
trial and error at this point. We found out these radios really aren't good for around water. You know, they're more of a,
It's not a rainy day.
it's
piece of
not a really
communication,
big piece, but that's.
You guys never around water at a fire.
So, but I think, what it is, I don't think there's any other big pieces, like the chief said, that we don't have, our arms around. The next big thing probably, we talked about SCBA, we talked about gear, we haven't talked about hose. That's the other thing, the hose starts.
Usually cover that in your budget, though, don't you, typically?
Hose is gonna, is it
Well.
And we bought a lot of
you know,
it at the same time.
The initial,
expenditure of new
yeah,
hose is
was a
gonna be.
lot. We have, we currently test our hose. This was our second year of testing. Was never tested prior to that I could find any evidence of. And through that testing process, we eliminated a lot. But again, there's a good example of, so if I eliminate a truck, there's a couple of thousand feet of 4-inch I don't need, there's a couple of thousand feet of, this I don't need, 500 feet of, couple of tips. It all adds up. So as I'm saving there, yeah, I can go out and buy some LDH, which I'm going to need, large diameter hose, because that's getting nearer the end of its life cycle. We continue to reassess our needs, and they shift, they change.
How much, ballpark figure, the hoses, large
100 feet,
diameter hose?
100 feet of LDH is $500, $550?
Probably somewhere in that range, yeah.
I could feather it, well,
But then that's one length.
understand how much I carry.
One length.
Yeah, well, that's
I
100
carry
feet.
1,400 feet across, four
$7,000.
trucks. Yeah, I get 15,000 feet of hose.
Total.
Where are you going with this?
He
I'm
doesn't
just,
know.
I'm just trying to find, if this is gonna be a capital expenditure, and he knows a
My
year
plan
from
is
now
not-
or
no,
2 years from
no,
now,
you
he's
can't-
gonna need it,
you can't
let's
do
put it
that.
on the plan, let's get it on the
Well,
radar.
that's what this is for. That's what this form is for.
I know, but we're not even talking about the hose, this is what I'm trying to get at.
No, his point is the radios
there
come out of the
anything else?
blue, maybe
Right.
the hose will come out of the blue. We don't wanna make sure wanna
I
make sure there's
understand
no
that.
more coming out of the blue, that's
I understand
all.
that.
Yeah.
But that's.
The hose won't come out of the blue, okay? I plan to start to phase in hose purchase. I'm working on turnout gear purchase, figuring out how to do that, okay? But I need some breathing room against, some of my other operating costs. I think that's what I'm trying to tell you I'm doing. Otherwise, I gotta come in and say, I won't come back in 9 years for 100, but I am coming back for 11,000 a year increased because I need to buy 3 sets of turnout gear every year. So, I'm not doing that. Well, I shouldn't say that because I haven't been to FinCom yet. I know you're listening.
I'm just thinking on a capital expenditure point of view.
Oh, you're thinking both, but I get it. I get it.
He is,
Okay.
he
All right,
is
here,
torn.
let me, I wanna kind of
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
corral this in here. Okay, we're not here to scrutinize every detail of the fire department's needs right now.
We're here to
we're-
put together a capital plan.
No, we have the
And the
capital plan.
capital plan includes
No,
a
we're
new
not-
roof or a new heating system.
no.
I wanna
Bill,
know about it
Bill,
now,
Bill,
Jeff, I don't wanna
listen,
know about it
listen.
next year at this time when he says, Bill, I need a new roof and it's gonna cost 25 grand. Let's
Now,
get
let-
it on the table, let's
No.
get visibility, let's start thinking about it
No.
now, let's not wait.
Out of order. Now, let me finish what I'm doing here, okay? Now, we're not here to rewrite the capital plan. We're not here to fill out the chief's future requests, okay? We're here to manage the requests that are on the plan right now, and then if there are other things he's gonna discover, they need to come in as part of the future requests.
As he just did.
Hypothetically, okay?
No, he just came in and said, I need $117,000. Is that not
For
correct?
the radio,
For the
correct.
radio.
Right.
What I'm trying to get at, is there another radio that we know, that we can figure out today as opposed to tomorrow, that we can get on the radar screen, that we can get people to begin to think about today, not tomorrow.
Right.
It's part of this plan.
It's not gonna be on the plan for this year, though. I'm trying to get through what we're supposed to be doing, reviewing the request for this year and adding to 2022, okay? That's, or 21. That's what I wanna get at now. So if there are gonna be other, needs or other requests, we're not gonna be doing it tonight, okay? We have more opportunity to meet with the chief, and we'll talk about other things. And we can talk about planning further out, but tonight, I wanna review what's on the plan for this year and what's gonna be on what needs to be done 5 years out. That's what I'm trying to accomplish.
So this year and 5 years out, nothing in the middle, or everything in the middle?
The plan is what it is as it stands right now. This is what the plan that we approved. So everything that's there now should stay there. Now, he's coming up with something new that he needs this year, all right? So we're gonna have to rearrange other things on the plan. But once the plan is set, the whole idea is that it's a plan. So we wanna really try to avoid changing it midstream.
And we,
But we
exactly.
have, but
And
we have.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, it's true,
We have.
But,
And to that end, we want to avoid the surprises. We want to try to get at the
I
nitty gritty
agree, that's what
and get it
the
out there.
plan is,
Agreed. I'm in full agreement. We're okay on the hose won't be a surprise.
yeah. So,
But it's, the point is a valid point.
yeah, it is.
You know, I'm managing a lot of stuff,
May I interject?
that's all I can say.
Oh, may I interject and
Yes, sir.
suggest that, thank you, that you add hose in here and any other thing that you can think that would be capital items in the future.
Yeah.
We won't have a price on them yet,
Okay.
but let's have them as an item in
A
here.
placeholder.
Let me
A
bring up
placeholder,
another
exactly.
point, okay? Does hose cost $20,000?
Yeah.
I can't tell you that.
Oh, 500, you said 500,
Well, it's
Dollars
it's
for-
all-
Different
it's all-
sizes.
it's all
Right,
different.
my point
It's
is
all
that as a capital improvement, it's gotta meet the criteria, which is
I understand.
$20,000.
10 or 20?
10, isn't it?
10.
10, excuse me, 10, yeah.
So, you guys
I
jumped
can
up.
get
Could
to
be
10. I can
close.
get to 10.
I believe you can.
Yeah,
I know, but if I have money in my budget, in my equipment budget, and I get to, buy it over a number of years, that's my goal, okay? Same with turnout gear. I'd like to be able to add to inventory of everything I have that's expendable, perishable, whatever term you wanna
Consumable.
put against it. Because I gotta be, buying it on one end and eliminating it at the other end. I need to be doing, I can't have everything, can't be, flash cut, 0, 10, done, but, can't do that.
Okay,
There's no way to manage anything.
Okay, we've agreed then, hose should be added to this, right?
Okay, so I'll get a number around hose and a far out date that if I didn't run up to it and chopped away at it and I had to do a lump purchase, it would look like this. I can do that.
We need to know the items, that's all I'm saying,
Okay.
at this
I get
juncture.
it.
But I would suggest that with everything. I mean, take a look at your heating system. My heating system 15 years old,
Yeah.
may I need to replace that? Maybe I should put
that's not
that,
under the fire
throw
department.
it in there.
I don't,
Oh,
I
it's
don't
not.
have any building.
It's
That's
just
a
a-
town complex, okay.
Right.
But that's the
You
whole,
do
the
have
whole,
my doors on Central Station, the rusted ones on the list somewhere, right? We talked about this.
yeah,
Okay,
you
good.
did.
Where's Kevin? It's his birthday, he gets a day off? Is that what it is?
No, he's,
Happy birthday, Kevin Cuniff, you don't do that on TV? Right?
is it his birthday?
Yeah, that's why he's not here. Kidding?
He'll love
One
that.
more
Okay,
thing
so let's,
before we-
yeah, go ahead, because we're kind of going
Yeah,
around
no, this is,
circles here.
we discussed a little bit about the grant, the original grant,
Right.
but there's grant money also, and the chief's been very active, with a couple of us helping him along, with some of the stuff, on air packs and radios. So we may be able to offset some of these costs that we're discussing with some grant money, and then the chief is gonna pursue that with, I've been helping him.
That would be good, but we've had talked
So-
about that in the past, that that's kind of a given.
Yeah.
We would always pursue that.
Yeah. so.
Okay.
Just so, maybe I should review the capital process here, just so, there are two forms that go out, correct? You get, when I send out the requests?
Yep.
One is the list of current equipment, and the other is future capital requests, right? So, on the list of current equipment, that's where we go through and determine when those things need to be replaced, okay? So if there's, to your point, if there's something missing on that sheet, it needs to be added. And perhaps you could take another look at that and make sure everything is on there. Because that's what we work from in order to project when things need to be replaced, okay? So there wouldn't be any surprises. That's kind of the idea behind that. So,
I
when I
guess if
send
I
that.
was a firefighter, but I'm at a severe disadvantage compared to the two gentlemen in front of me who have much more depth of knowledge in that particular field than I do. So I could look at that list forever and a day and not know that they're missing a key piece of equipment
No,
or
it's
apparatus.
it's their job, correct?
It's their job, right.
Yeah.
What I'm
That's what I'm
trying to
saying.
do is
I'm saying that he
foster
needs
the
to
thought,
look, right,
get him to, while we come up with this new communication system, to anything else.
no, I understand what you're saying,
know?
yeah.
Like I was looking at these other things to get the rest of my point. We're still gonna eliminate the refueling station, that's not gonna come back for 20 grand?
Right, he doesn't have that in front of him, so, I was planning on going through that, but
Okay.
we're obviously off in a different direction here, so we need to address this before we can
Well, I think the
address that.
radio should be dealt with now, this year, this coming
Yeah,
year,
I
20,
agree. As I said
2017.
when I sent out that email, we're supposed to be looking at things in 2021 right now. Of course, the idea is to have a plan and to add on to the end of the plan so that everything moves forward and the town has an opportunity to plan ahead.
Yeah, but things
However,
come up, yeah.
there's I say that there's certain things that, if there's a,
If I was
if there's a-
wise, I'd put hose in 2021, wouldn't I?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
But-
No, actually, you'd put it in
I
on
need to do
2020.
an inventory first,
Do-
it might be 2 or 3.
Right.
Put it
No,
in
I'm-
2020, there's nothing there for you.
And a
So-
plan is a plan. By nature, it's flexible.
I get it.
It's fluid.
Right, but, and so, as I'm trying to say, in that notice that I send out, I say we will look at other things if the circumstances require it. So this isn't a safety issue, it's more of an emergency type of purchase, so it would qualify to being injected into the plan, prior to the end.
I don't disagree.
Right, so, we're all on the same page as that, as far as that goes,
It's
the
like we're in
radios
violent
are.
agreement.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
Took us a
So-
while, but we got there.
I think we're all in agreement. I just wanna make sure there's nothing else.
That's
Yep.
right,
You know.
I understand. So, do we wanna look at 2019 for the air packs? Is that what we decided?
Yes.
You're good with that?
Yes. Hopefully I get a gift from the feds before that.
All right. So, so you're proposing that we add this
118,000 to the, instead of air packs, it becomes radio equipment and communications.
for 2017,
Yeah,
118,000.
correct.
Okay, so we'll be looking at radio and pumper
Right,
for town meeting.
right.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
If we do end up getting a grant, we have to, typically it's a 5% match. Is that an issue? Let's say, we get the grant next year for the SCBA's for 130,000, and now we're on the hook for $7 grand.
Right. Honestly, I would have to discuss that with the finance director.
Well, I think that's a finance board
I'm not
issue.
sure how they.
We should,
that would
because I
work.
will tell you, I take that liberty on the form to say, yes, my town will
Right.
throw in a 5%, should you give me $750,000.
And I think it only makes sense,
Yes.
you know,
So that would be with the finance
I think we'd all,
director.
right.
Okay.
I know there's
very
there's a
happy.
lot of different ways that they can move money or take money from certain places that I'm not aware of.
Well,
It was, I was just
Something
curious.
else, you can get
There's
95%,
this
believe me.
stabilization fund, they can transfer money out of the stabilization fund as long as they have a two-thirds vote at a special town meeting.
Right.
But should we ask for permission, and then we should be talking to Denise or FinCom or?
I would start with Denise.
And
Yeah.
she will then recommend
Just
to
do it
the
the right
finance
way.
board what
Okay.
the response should be, right?
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else well, since you're the only department that has a 10-year, that we put a 10-year plan together, so we really kind of, I'm answering my own question here. There's nothing else on the 10-year worksheet? that-
No, but I think if, when we reconvene, if I have a shift in any of these numbers and an update on the ladder or a change in the door project, that sort of thing, I'll bring that in, but if I bring you a 2022 number or a 2023 number to say, yeah, I need, $12,000 worth of hose or
Yeah, 2021 is what we're.
whatever, that I know what that is, and I think I can get my team to, really,
Put it in 2020.
Well, no,
2020, because,
But there's nothing there.
no, I was told.
Well,
after-
but that doesn't mean we have to add things just because there's nothing there.
Give us some breathing room.
All right.
Yeah,
You take a year off.
It's sabbatical.
God, healthy.
yeah, so,
And
1, 2, 3,
getting
4,
close to
5, so it'd be
90.
2022, Bob. 2022 is what we're looking at,
2022.
yeah.
1, 2,
So-
3,
You
4, 5.
do realize, or you probably don't realize, but in 2019, that's it for me. So I'd come in all day long after
You think I'm gonna be here then?
You're done?
that. Mandatory, John.
Is that right?
Mandatory. Well, at least there'll be a plan.
Yes, correct.
You know, it'd be a nice thing to put on that 10-year is, the new command vehicle. You gotta think,
Yeah.
before this 10-year
Yeah,
plan
yeah,
is
yeah.
out.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna replace it, throw it down there. You know what I mean?
Jeff,
The
can I,
more
can I keep,
visibility
the-
you
can I
can
keep this?
have.
Yeah, oh, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the
it's
more
better to have it
transparency
on,
you can
it's
have,
better to have
The
it,
longer you can have it out there and
Right.
hammer the people and hammer the people and hammer the people, the better your chances of getting what you need. Because now it's been on the radar screen, it's been on people's mind. It's a pressing need or it wouldn't be there year after year after year. And I think that's what we're trying to do. Throw it up on the blackboard and keep it there.
It's
Not like
also-
the revolving
it's
door
also
with your
on
ladder
the
truck,
town-
with your predecessors.
Town
It was
meeting,
here, it was not
this,
there, it was
it's
here, it was
on
not
the
there.
town,
Correct.
yeah,
Okay.
this gets
I wish
distributed.
people would read my town report.
Yeah, wish people would read through it.
I don't even know if it's
All
out.
right. Is there anything else we need to cover with
I don't think
from your
so.
side?
I don't think so, but do tell me about the entrance doors, the rusty doors, is that on the
I
radar?
thought
it's
that-
there.
No,
Central
these are
Star
the- These are
Station
the
doors.
overhead
No,
doors.
no.
Oh,
I thought we
I know
addressed it.
Kevin looked at them, you
No,
guys.
I addressed this, I'll look it up here. I addressed this
I
with
mean, I
with
don't know
Greg
what-
LeBrec, I believe. I think it was back when Greg was doing it. I had a list of things that there were small projects that needed to be done.
Let me ask
And
this
that was
another
one of
way,
them.
because some of the doors, I've been asked by the firefighters over at the fire station, some of the doors are rusty on the,
12 grand we had for that.
Yeah.
some of
we
the
did.
doors are rusty, the exterior doors. We have all nice airlocks on the, over on that building up there, you stand in the rain,
I know we voted to approve a couple of years ago, 12,
A whole bunch of
5,
stuff.
I believe.
a whole bunch of
Along with
stuff up there, never got done.
The parking
Right,
lot
I have a
paving.
list of
part
what they
it.
are too.
That did happen.
Highway did that, I don't know.
There were a
what
couple of things.
They did the whole at South Station.
They did the
Are we
whole.
talking about?
No,
filled in
the
that.
paving, the pave the parking lot, the front and back.
It's South Station.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Because there was a
that
hole,
was
there was
paid,
also a hole there.
but there were some other items,
Oh,
I
yes.
believe, I was not a part to that.
No, I know. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at it the other day.
I'm glad you're on the ball, man.
Yeah, of course.
I know exactly what you mean.
I'll find it as soon as you leave.
Those, it's funny, those doors were wooden and they were rotted and they were replaced with metal, and now the
The
metal
metal's
are rusted.
rusted, yeah.
And, anybody with some foresight today would say fiberglass door would be nice. And, maybe a little overhang.
Yeah.
Yeah, to keep the water from splashing,
Depending
keep the guys out.
projects.
guys have to
Yeah.
stand there in the rain trying to unlock the door.
Let me ask you this. The heating system, the roof, isn't your responsibility, but the doors are?
The doors are not.
Oh, the doors are not?
None of it's my responsibility.
No, but the doors are
I-
on your capital plan, but the
Yes.
heating system wouldn't be? I'm just trying to
Not
understand.
in my capital plan.
Where
Hopefully
is
in
the
your capital-
separation?
No, they weren't in the capital plan, they were just. they
No,
were
he's
things
talking
that
about these overhead doors.
needed to be
The
done.
overhead doors
Yeah,
are on his capital plan.
correct, yeah.
Well,
It's part of the building.
you're right. They shouldn't
Right.
be on my capital plan. They
Right.
should
That's
be
what
on-
I'm getting
They
at.
should be on, your capital plan, or the town's capital plan, or the building capital
Well,
plan, or whatever.
We
You're
had-
right.
yeah,
Wherever roofs go.
You're
I don't
right.
know, Wherever
right.
fuel conversions
It's
go.
the town complex is what, that was the category back when we had somebody who was taking care of the town complex.
Funny thing about it, it's kind of fakakta, right? You've got this big building over there. You own the doors, but not the rest of the structure.
I
Who
don't
owns the
own
rest
any
of the
of it. I
structure?
don't
They
own
should
any
own the
of it.
doors.
I'm the chair in my office.
But you know what I'm getting at.
I do.
It shouldn't be on this, on your plan. It's not part of the building. If your heating system dies tomorrow, who gets that bill? Do they throw it at you and say it's part of your capital plan? Why should the doors be? Doesn't make sense.
Because it's not over 10 grand.
No.
Yeah, the overhead doors,
Yeah, so,
over 10 grand.
So that should have been on town complex. I think how it leaked into this was it was associated with the ladder truck.
correct,
That's
you needed
correct.
doors for the station, right.
I think that's how it
That's,
happened.
it was part of
But
the
your
ladder
point is a
truck.
good one. It should be on a town complex, I think, is historically what that category's been.
Right, because that's the same when we replaced the roof on the safety building in the town hall. That was all from, on the town complex. But we didn't, he's right, we addressed it when we were addressing the ladder truck. But
we done?
Well, yeah, so, anything else, John? No,
Just have 14.
thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Anything else you'd like to add, Bill?
Thank
How about a
goodness.
motion to adjourn? Can I entertain that?
Yeah, you can
So
motion to
moved.
adjourn, just
Any second?
as long as we're working the same.
I'll second that, as long as the minutes are made shortly.
What minutes?
The minutes that haven't been done yet.
Oh, for the last
Do
one,
I hear a
not for this one.
second to adjourn?
I abdicated
All in favor?
that for this
You
reason.
abdicated.
Good.
Okay, meeting adjourned, thank you, gentlemen.
It's all good.
Yep.
Thank you. I know we're all headed in the same direction.
We are.
I know.